This is One Sentence News, a daily podcast featuring 3 news stories with a sentence-long summary and 1 sentence of context apiece. I'm Colin Wright. This is a sponsored message. I've been using Anchor as my podcast host for a while now, and it's been a pleasure to use. Anchor offers benefits that most other hosts do not. It's free to use, but it also has a collection of tools that allow you to create a podcast completely within the Anchor website or smartphone app. They distribute your show to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other distribution channels without any additional effort on your part, and you can make money from your podcast without any minimum audience size. So you can use it as a more traditional podcast host like I do, but it's also got everything you need to start a podcast from scratch. If you're keen to give it a shot, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's Thursday, January 19th, 2023. Let's talk about the news. From the Associated Press, Scotland vows to challenge UK in court over gender law veto. Scotland's First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, has said that she'll take the British government to court over the latter's decision to block a newly announced Scottish law that would make it easier for people to change their officially documented gender. This is, by some estimates, mostly a proxy battle between a new conservative British Prime Minister who's playing to his side by opposing anything that could be construed as being pro-transgender rights, while Sturgeon is playing to her audience in pointing at what she considers to be British government overreach and using that as a means of further differentiating her government from the one in London, which could also increase support for Scottish independence. That doesn't mean this law isn't important and won't remain at the center of what could be an extended legal scuffle, but it does suggest that this case could sprawl a bit and possibly drum up enthusiasm amongst voters in these two oft-opposing political parties. From Axios, no end in sight for major mail delivery disruptions from UK. It's been a week since the UK's Royal Mail Service announced that it had been hacked, and the agency says it's still experiencing, quote, severe service disruption, end quote, and that people and businesses shouldn't try to mail anything internationally using the service for the time being. The agency was reportedly targeted by a ransomware attack, and that attack has shut down a system the Royal Mail uses to get letters and packages ready to be sent and tracked overseas. This system is still shut down, though the agency has been able to report that customer data hasn't been accessed, and that they're still working to remedy the problem. In other UK-based hacking news, The Guardian newspaper was also hit by a ransomware attack a few weeks ago, and is still getting portions of its network back up and running. And from BBC News, diabetes artificial pancreas tech recommended for thousands on NHS. The UK's National Health Service may soon offer what's being called an artificial pancreas to more than 100,000 people with type 1 diabetes in England and Wales. This device uses an under-the-skin glucose sensor to gauge how much insulin should be delivered via a pump, filling in, essentially, for a pancreas that doesn't do its job quite right. This device requires users input data about what they eat, but is otherwise automatic, which reduces the chance of future kidney problems, amputations, and blindness, among other issues. The health body that has recommended this technology be adopted and paid for by the NHS says it would be a great addition to the system, but that the technology is still too expensive, and it is thus in the process of negotiating for what it considers to be a more cost-effective price with the device maker. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com. And you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts, at understandery.com.